Like, just check the microphone. Get a Bluetooth timed out on me. Can we hear anything? Yes, the mic is okay. Jump into it in a sec. Check the stream is available. I need its link to share. Start in a sec. Time is ticking. Time is ticking. Thanks, I don't want to share in other groups. Close any distractions. Pretty much anything is a distraction. So we're still on this cross coherence tool using this SciPy coherence function, and yes, there's a detrend option. This will be important in a sec. This is what we have so far. We got the GPT to fix quite a lot of things for us. As you can see, it's sending requests to my server, and hopefully it will be available soon for anyone to play with. This slider here, yeah, I don't know why it looks better in Firefox, but yeah, we had some specific styling for Chrome, but I don't know if it's actually, it doesn't work very well. Can we check this for a sec? Nope, nothing. That's okay. Anyway, I don't know why it's below like that, but anyway, it's good enough. A window works. Can have a larger window there. Channel numbers. Yes, this works, and it's updating as you change the channel. So in theory, if you use this is the same file. It also takes for it some time to load. To reload this, that's the beginning of a seizure there. It's actually channel 1. This is channel. It will be left of 1 and right of 1, 0 and 7, which will be 1 and 8. Okay, I know it's super confusing, but bear with me. And this is actually different location within the file. Why? It's a good question. Can we make it display the same things? I would assume during a seizure the cross coherence will be changing quite a bit. There should be more of it. It might be out of phase, but it should be there. Obviously this will need more work, but we might keep it as is for now. Detrending works well, so those signals are not trended. So if you do, if I plot 1 second, why did it change the default? Say 1 second window. Yes, it's only changing the coherence because this is not the trending, the actual signal. That's actually important. This is only using a detrend as part of the coherence calculation. Be able to use this slider as such. So what the detrending will do is bring both signals at around 0. And in theory, so the max coherence now it's 0.9, 1. If we select, for example, 2 channels, that will give an error. Right, so these 2 channels are on the same side of the head, both on the left, I think. And now overall coherence is mostly staying around 1. It's reduced if you make the window larger. So now I get some more interesting stuff, more variability in these numbers. It should be a logarithmic scale. So here, what's important in this is those peaks and valleys. So essentially, yeah, losing that point. Yeah, ideally this scroll also should be longer throughout the whole screen. This actually doesn't scale up, it doesn't change on different screens. I was using the keyboard, clicking on the keyboard like too many times. Anyway, let's publish this. It's working okay. So we have those 4 files. This is where they would be located on the server. I forgot how to do it. I haven't published the tool in a while.
Your MyApp WSGI file looks good if you're deploying your Flask app on a server with Apache and mod_WSGI. The SYS path insert 0 var www Biomedical coherence line adds your applications directory to the Python path, and from app import app as application imports your Flask application instance. If you are encountering any specific issues or errors while deploying or running the application, or have other questions, feel free to share more details. Note: make sure that the path var www Biomedical coherence is the actual path where your Flask application is stored on the server, and that the app in from app import app as application corresponds to your Flask application's Python file name and the Flask app instance name. Also, ensure that the required packages are installed in the server environment and file permissions are set correctly to allow Apache to read the files and directories. If you uncomment the OS environment script_name equals coherence line, it would set the application root URL, but ensure that it's necessary for your specific Apache configuration and deployment needs.
So we need the Apache configuration file.
Your Apache configuration file for serving a Flask application using mod_WSGI might look something like the following. Please make sure to customize paths and domain names as per your specific application's needs. In the above configuration, replace www.example.com with your own domain or IP address. The WSGI daemon process directive is used to define the daemon process for the WSGI application. It has options like the number of processes and threads to be used. The WSGI script alias directive maps a URL prefix to the location of the WSGI script file. In the less than directory greater than section, the WSGI process group and WSGI application group directives associate the WSGI application with the defined daemon process. The require all granted directive allows any client to access this directory. Adjust the permissions as needed for your specific deployment. Remember to enable your configuration and restart the Apache server after making changes. Replace myapp con with the actual name of your configuration file. Note: ensure that the mod_WSGI module is installed and enabled on your Apache server. You can typically do this with ensure paths, domain names, and other specific configurations match your applications and server setup.
Yeah, we have this prompts combine. That's where the file is located. Where is the Apache configuration file located?
The location of the Apache configuration file can vary depending on the operating system and the specific Apache distribution. Below are common locations for some popular Linux distributions. The main configuration file, // etc. /apache2 /apache2.con, etc. Apache2 sites available. Virtual host configurations that are enabled are symlinked to, etc. Apache2 sites enabled. To edit the default website settings, you might want to look in /etc. /httpd/con /http. Great, Ubuntu is a common OS for deploying Flask applications. Below is a comprehensive guide on deploying your Flask application on Ubuntu using Apache and mod_WSGI. Update the package list and install Apache. Install mod_WSGI, a module that allows Apache to interface with Python applications. Enable the mod_WSGI module if it's not already enabled. Clone your application into a directory. For this example, let's use var www bionichaos coherence. Replace less than your repo URL greater than with your actual Git repository URL. Create a virtual environment to isolate your application's dependencies. Install your application's dependencies. Create an Apache configuration file for your application. Make sure that Apache has permission to read and execute the files and write logs. Allow HTTP traffic on port 80. Make sure you replace www.example.com with your domain name or IP address and adjust the paths according to where your application is stored. Also, test your Apache configuration for syntax errors with sudo apache2ctl config test and make any necessary corrections. Now, if you navigate to your domain or IP address in a web browser, you should see your Flask application being served by Apache. If you want to add SSL configuration to your Flask app, follow the steps below. We assume that you have already obtained an SSL certificate, for example, from Let's Encrypt. Replace paths, domain names, and SSL certificate paths as per your specific setup. Make sure to replace www.example.com with your actual domain name. Replace, etc. Let's Encrypt, live, www.example.com/fullchain.pem, etc. Let's Encrypt, live, www.example.com/privkey.pem, and, etc. Let's Encrypt, live, www.example.com/chain.pem with your actual paths to the SSL certificate file. Your configuration file looks good. It appears that you have several Flask applications configured under different aliases, each with SSL enabled. If you want to make changes, consider the following aspects. Ensure the paths to the SSL certificates are correct and that the certificates are not expired. Ensure Apache has the necessary permissions to access the directories. Your current configuration does include require all granted, but make sure the file system permissions are also correctly set. Always check log files for errors. If something isn't working, the Apache error logs can often provide more details. Each application is configured with its own daemon process and process group. If resources are limited, or if you're facing performance issues, consider adjusting the number of threads. Make sure the aliases for static files are working as expected and that the paths are correct. Here's an example of a potential change to add another Flask application. Just follow the pattern as you did with the previous applications. If you want to change SSL certificates or add new ones, you would update these lines with the paths to the new certificates. Check the permissions on the directories and ensure Apache can read and execute files. For instance, you can disable the current site and enable a new configuration with these commands. Check firewall rules to ensure that both HTTP and HTTPS traffic are allowed. If you're using UFW, these commands will open ports 80 and 443. Always test your configuration changes before reloading or restarting Apache. Remember to renew SSL certificates regularly if you're using Let's Encrypt. Adjust as per your needs, and always take a backup of the current configuration before making any changes to quickly revert if something goes wrong. Also, it's good practice to check Apache's error logs for detailed error messages after making changes.
Okay, sorry for that. Back, so we're deploying this Apache application to change the configuration file. So we need to add another app. Why is it called another app? And don't worry about the certificates and SSL or firewall or enabling and disabling sites.
Alright, let's add the Flask application for your coherence project to the existing Apache configuration file. We'll create a new WSGI daemon process, add a WSGI script alias, and set up the required directory permissions for the coherence project, similar to what you did for the other applications. Here's how you can update the Apache configuration to include the new coherence application. WSGI script alias. This directive is used to map a URL to a file system location. It maps the coherence URL to the location of your WSGI file on the file system. WSGI daemon process. This creates a daemon process with the name coherence. Adjust the number of threads as needed. WSGI process group. This associates the WSGI application with the daemon process created above. Directory. This directive is used to enclose a group of configuration directives that will apply only to the named directory, subdirectories of that directory, and the files within the respective directories.
So we have this bit which we need to add to Apache site configuration file. Let's do it on another screen because there's some security issue. Oh, come on. Using 2 threads for this application. The directory looks correct. Global grant require all granted. Right, that looks legit. Now we need to deploy the actual site. Some instructions for this. So I need to copy the files and give this permissions. And let's do it in another terminal tab. So we're happy to do that. Need to do a config test, syntax okay, and we need to restart the server. And in theory, if you go to Biomedical cross coherence, you should see the new application. And why is this not being displayed? I do not know. Let's check again. Updating plot, getting a 404 on the server. So it's working okay on the local server. Like you can see here. And it's failing on the public server. So this one works okay. Date plot, request method post. Oop. Works okay locally, but getting a 404 on the public server.
The issue seems to be with the URL mapping on your production server. When running the Flask app locally, it's common to not have a prefix in the URL path, so your endpoint for updating the plot is HTTP URL. However, on your production server, the app should likely be served under a specific path, like HTTP URL. Update the JavaScript fetch request to include the appropriate prefix, the app's root URL, when deployed.
Yeah, so I want to check if it's running locally or in production. We did something like this before. It was we'll have to redeploy everything again, but it's not working at the moment, so we'll have to do it. Let's get it done properly.
On the server side, ensure that your Flask roots are also considering this URL structure. Ensure that in app.py the root should be like.
We should just change the root. Any ideas are more than welcome. It's the update plot. Well, why do we have to do this if we're doing the first bit?
On the server side, ensure that your Flask roots are also considering this URL structure. Ensure that in app.py the root should be like. Update the JavaScript fetch request to include the appropriate prefix, the app's root URL, when deployed.
We did this differently before. We check. This one we didn't have to do it at all. No, wait, in JavaScript. No, we are checking if localhost or not. Then in Python, to name those files differently. Come on, this silly scroller thing never works. So why do we? No, I get the JavaScript bit. I don't understand. Why do we need to do it in Python again? I'm pretty sure we didn't do it before. If we are dynamically checking if the execution is on a local or remote server, why do we need to change the Python code to this?
The JavaScript will handle calling the correct endpoint based on the environment. This dynamic adjustment is mainly to handle the different base URLs between your development and production environments without having to change the server-side code. So, the setup would be something like this. With this setup, you ensure that your client-side code is adaptable to both local development and production environments, while keeping the server-side code consistent and clean.
Right, this makes more sense. Okay, let's close that. So this was a different web app. Now in JavaScript, before fetching, fetching and data. Python remains the same. Okay, where do we have the first fetch? Fetch. Shouldn't this be update plot still? Is production. Endpoint. We have this too. It should be done somewhere outside this loop. Still works. Still works locally. Okay. Now we need to redeploy. So it also works on remote server. Let me just check. if this is this correct? Is this correct? Add some. Hello, I'm web developer in Vietnam. Hello, a web developer from Vietnam. Nice to have you on the stream. Are you using ChatGPT to do all your web development? Or not yet?
Yes, this JavaScript code looks mostly correct. It dynamically adjusts the endpoint URL based on whether the application is running in a development, local, or production server environment. Here's a breakdown.
A note. Why do I need a note?
Make sure that the update_plot endpoint in your Flask app is returning min coherence and max coherence values in its JSON response. Otherwise, to fix, method call will raise an error if undefined is returned.
That's not related, is it? I am returning that. So it's giving you warnings that you do not ask for. So that should be correct. It's still working locally. And now we want to make it available to you in Vietnam or wherever you are. We're still struggling with that a bit. Where is need to redeploy. Just do all this in one go. Copy and restart Apache server. Give me a sec. Syntax okay. It's for the configuration. Locally it still works. Let's restart this. No. Oh, come on. Then restart the server. Let's restart it again. Oh, I think I know what the problem is. It's Cloudflare. Give me a sec. Have to do it on another window, sorry, on another screen. We have to because we made the change, we need to purge cache. Probably put it in development mode as well. Right, so now it's working. To remember all these things. Okay, so it's up and running. How long did it take us? Do we have more time? Yes, so this. It's early release just for the live stream viewers. Can play around with this tool. Some description at the bottom. Cross coherence function of two. Can select your two EEG channels, and it will show you the cross coherence function between them. So essentially, how similar or different they are. And yes, that we'll be doing more work on this later, so it gonna all will come together eventually. Just bear with me. I mean, not during this stream. It will come together at a later stage, hopefully sometime this year, kind of thing. Yes, these things take some time. But if you wanna provide early feedback, this is all open source, and I will actually take your feedback into consideration. Yes, so the trending is now on by default. Those colors are horrendous, even though it's my color template. This one here. But yeah, it's not pretty. That's for sure. Um, right. Also, if I'm publishing this link, we also need to sort out quite a few things for it to work properly. We might take it from another example that we have. Probably be from here. So let's go cardio EEG. Cardio, it's called Cardio Quest, whatever. Templates, index. Just split the screen for a sec. Can stop running this locally. This is not the correct file. I would imagine. No, it is correct. It doesn't have. Wait a sec. It has two index HTML files. That's not cool. Anyway, in the header, we need a meta property. Image, have a bunch of images. Is that image not there anymore? What? Anyway, I might about this one, we actually probably be more straightforward. Take it from there. Where are the images? Document is an invalid state. What? We need the logo and all the description and everything. Why can't we find the image when I have this HTML? If I run it locally and with live server, okay, that works. So what's this image? I mean, we'll need to change it anyway, but keep it that for now. Open image. Chaos images. Yeah, what's the problem with this? AG. Anyway, the image is definitely correct, so I'm not sure what the problem is. Copy relative path. Right, now we have the general styles for the whole project. And I think it's whichever is loaded. The second is the priority one. This won't work anymore, of course. Right, now we need this header, including the script, because that's what controlling the menu for the page. So if I run it from, right, so I have the menu there. It should be working fine in production. I'll never say that, but you know what I mean. We have the description there, everything. Use that line for the description. We need to deploy again. So this thing in a local server. No, it won't work because it's a Flask application. So next time we load it, redeploy. This is the third time we're doing it. Right. So because it's applying this is not good. It's applying the colors from the current style CSS. It's messing up my background. Is the background meant to be black or something? but meant to look like this. Yeah, want everything consistent. So in here we're calling. No, the file should be there. What do you mean can't open it? It's this one here. No, wait. It's in the main folder. Yeah, this one. So this says styling is for let's say just take a quick to open the window. It's really hot in here. My GPU is running all these fans and what's not. Right, better. So the body should be the same. Comment that out. That's why how commenting out in CSS works or doesn't work. Rounded corners. Okay. Won't worry about that for now. No main container. So essentially I don't want any contradictions between the two CSS files. it should be it. So we commented out whatever potentially contradicts with the main styling of the page. Right, this is better. So now we have white background thingy. It wouldn't work on black background, isn't it? That blue would not work well. Is this black even the styling that we... Oops. Did I just do? No, sorry, I should have done that. Box shadow. Why do we have a box shadow? And let's see, F12. Yeah, I'll leave it like that for now. This page doesn't really scale as well. Could be a problem. But yes, it is a prototype, so there you go. I'll see you next time. Bye.